UFC 315 is coming up next weekend, and today, guys, I am going to be breaking down every single fight for you with timestamps if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Apologies if you can hear a little bit like I'm not necessarily as energetic as I typically am. My allergies are kicking my butt right now, so we're going to be rolling through this breakdown as best as we possibly can, okay, guys? Timestamps are there if you'd like to skip to any part of the video. Let's get straight into it. Starting off with the first fight, we have Daniel Santos taking on Jeong Lee. I like this matchup, actually. I think it's a really good matchup for both guys at the point that they're at in their career right now. We've seen both of them a little bit in the UFC. Jeong Lee is a very well-rounded fighter who excels at range in a nice striking match. He does need to work on movement and his damage control, but other than that, he typically does everything pretty well. We've seen him in the UFC for a couple times now, but the problem is the quality of opponents, it hasn't necessarily like stacked up and be like, okay, you know what, these are really, really great wins to have. What happened to Blake Builder, man? I haven't seen him in a while, but anyways, he ended up coming off of a loss over to Hyder Ammo, and that's the only one that kind of sort of aged a little bit well. Daniel Santos, on the other hand, he is a very well-rounded fighter. He can pretty well fight at any aspect of MMA, but he does need improvement for the top contenders. After his recent loss in the UFC, we've seen him in a few times in the UFC now. He bounced back and got a win over John Castaneda and Johnny Munoz Jr., and unfortunately, the more that I watch Daniel Santos, the more that I notice that he doesn't necessarily live up to the hype. But for this specific fight, I do like Daniel Santos. I think he's going to be just a little bit better than Jeong Lee. I think that while both of them are well-rounded, I think that Daniel Santos will be a little bit better at mixing up the options. I like the shootbox gym too. Those guys are always like training like animals too. I'm going to pick Daniel Santos for this one, and out of every fight on the card so far, guys, I'm recording this earlier in the week. This is the only one where I don't have odds on Odds Gym for you, so we're going to just move on to the next fight. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. We have Modestas Bukauskas taking on Cutelaba. This is already a fight where I'm like, oh boy, anything can happen in this one, okay? You have Modestas Bukauskas, who is a good striker who typically focuses on counter-striking. He has good power, cardio, and he does have submissions in his back pocket. He's 17-6, but he has looked better in recent performances. He's been a little bit inactive. He's beating guys, and I mean, the Zach Pauga fight, and that was a complete robbery in my opinion, but he is bouncing back off of two pretty nice wins. The quality of opponents could be better. Cutelaba is definitely a little bit of a step up, but the problem is Cutelaba is one of the most inconsistent fighters in the UFC at 19-10. He is a grappler with huge power. He likes to slug it out. He's one of the most inconsistent fighters ever because he has absolutely no issues just throwing himself into a firefight, and he either wins because he has bombs or he loses because he's a little bit of chinny. On the ground, though, if he's able to work things up and get on the ground, he is very skilled, and people do not talk about his fight IQ on the ground enough. He would be better with fight IQ when it comes to the entire point of the fight, but if he's standing, it is a complete 50-50 fight. If he's on the ground, Cutelaba fights well, okay? Is he going to go for the ground game, though? That's the issue, because we've seen him in a couple fights where I'm like, okay, I don't know, like, Cutelaba's kind of coming up, and he's kind of looking like he is having a little bit of a technical approach right now. Maybe Cutelaba's changing a little bit. And then we had the Erslan fight where they just slugged it out. So I can't sit down and tell you guys that Cutelaba is going to come in and try to have a technical performance. For that reason, I do believe this is just going to be a 50-50 fight. For the sake of the video, I do have to make a prediction. I'm going to go with Cutelaba because this is a bigger step up in competition for Modestas Bukauskas, but Ian comes in, he'll throw, he'll be chinny, or he'll knock somebody out, so like even saying that, I'm not confident in that whatsoever. This is one of the most difficult fights to predict on the card, but I am going to go with Cutelaba. The odds kind of suggest the same thing over here. Cutelaba is sitting at a -113 favorite right now, basically a pick'em. I get that. I believe this fight should absolutely be a pick'em. Let's continue on up the card, though, guys. We have Navajo Stirling taking on another fight, and this time he's fighting Ivan Erslan. This isn't also a pretty good matchup, to be honest with you. I like this because both guys are coming into, well, I mean, both guys had their first UFC fight, and I'm interested to see if Ivan Erslan can kind of turn the tides around because he did have a little bit of a disappointing UFC debut. We'll start with him. He's a striker with good power and aggression, and along with solid counters. He has good ground defense and underrated BJJ, although he definitely wants to keep things on the feet. As the fight goes on, he can be, and I'm not all the time, but he can fade a little bit. He came into the UFC after a rocky road in the KSW. He had the split decision loss to Cutelaba, which I personally didn't think it was a split decision loss. I thought that it was just a disappointing performance, and he was kind of behind the whole time. But the problem was, it was one of those performances where Cutelaba actually looked like he was pretty on, okay? Navajo Stirling, he is a kickboxing world champion and he's a powerful technical striker with good combinations, accuracy, and decent counters. His ground game is still relatively unknown, but he does seem to be a decent contender in general. While, like I just mentioned, he does have nice combinations, he can get caught during those combinations. He opens his shot, he's like open when he's throwing his shots, like kind of how Adesanya clipped Alex Pereira. I'm not saying that he is an Alex Pereira type striker, but you know, sometimes where Alex Pereira will throw combinations and his chin will kind of be out there. Navajo Stirling, that is really the only thing that I have to pick apart about him. He is hittable, okay? But so far, he's looked good. He's looked good coming to the UFC. He got his first win over Tuco Tokos, where he just put like a good pace on for 3 rounds. The power held up, and he should have found a finish, but Tokos was insanely tough. I have to go with Navajo to get the win over here. You have a guy who's looked insanely impressive versus somebody who hasn't, okay? I know that Erslan can turn on the BJJ, but we still have questions about whether or not Sterling's takedown defense is solid or like if his get-up game is there. We still have questions about that, but as of right now, I am going to pick Navajo Stirling to get the win. He's looked pretty impressive so far, and I'm going to pick him to win the fight. Excuse me, guys, sorry. A little bit difficult to breathe over here today. I don't know if the deep breathing is coming through the mic. Bad allergy day, okay? Odds Gym has Navajo Stirling at a -266 favorite over here. I kind of find myself agreeing with that. I am going to be picking Navajo Stirling to get the job done in this bout. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card. I'm actually quite interested in this fight, to be honest with you. We have Jessica Andrade taking on Jasmine Jasudavicius. I like watching these two fight. If you guys have been following the channel, you might know I really enjoy watching Jasmine fight. She always brings it, and I hope she gets a job done in Canada, okay? Jessica Andrade, she is a very well-rounded fighter with big power for the division. Her aggression used to be her typical weapon of choice, and that is what made her great in the past. Recently, she has not gone that route, with the exception of the one loss that she recently had against Natalia Silva. But the problem was, Natalia Silva was just better. But at least now we can say, like, Jessica Andrade isn't completely washed. We were worried about that. We were worried about her past her prime. We were worried about her, like, making her, like, she's made enough money or something like that. Because it's been a little while since we've really seen her come on and have that Jessica Andrade aggression. Now, I come after that fight and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not time to count out Jessica Andrade, okay? Jasmine Jasudavicius, on the other hand, she's a decently well-rounded fighter who excels when putting on striking pressure. She also does a great job at keeping things on the feet with incredible takedowns, scrambles, and reversals when people are trying to like actually get her down to the ground. She shines when she is on top of opponents with great ground and pound, slicing elbows. While the pressure and volume in the striking department from Jasmine Jasudavicius is great, accurate strikers who can keep up with her pace can also piece her up. She has one glaring weakness in her game, and that is accurate, precise strikers. We always point back, and I believe this is Tracy Cortez. Yeah, I don't remember how far down the Tracy Cortez loss was, but Tracy Cortez did a fantastic job doing that. The question is, can Jessica Andrade stop Jasmine in her tracks? Jessica's kind of a little bit of a brawler, and I could see that. Like, if she just starts swinging as Jasmine starts coming forward, maybe you don't necessarily need the solid, accurate, stopping power, like the jab straight in her face. I could see Andrade, like, just swinging the way that she does, doing the job to kind of stop Jasmine in her tracks. But Jasmine has also looked really good. She is on a 4-fight win streak, and she's been having great performances, but the problem is, none of these are a Jessica Andrade. This is going to be a very big step up in competition. It's kind of similar to, and I'm recording this video before the previous card that we just watched, like I was talking about Jillian Robertson versus Marina Rodriguez. You have a fighter who's looking great and improving, but Marina Rodriguez is a different animal in the division, and I know we're talking about strawweight versus flyweight here, but it's the WMA division, you know? The competition level kind of just takes a big dip, okay? Jessica Andrade is by far the toughest opponent that Jasmine Jasudavicius has taken on yet. This is a tough one. Jasmine's 36 now, eh? I didn't realize that she was getting up there in age, and she's still shining. I'm going to ever so slightly side with the momentum of Jasmine Jasudavicius. She looks like she's been hungrier. If we didn't recently see this fight against Natalia Silva, I'd pick Jasmine for sure. But if Jessica Andrade shows up like she did in her last fight, ready for war, she could give Jasmine some problems. But Jasmine is also capable of fighting in a war. Tough fight. Very tough fight. I'm going to side with the momentum of Jasmine Jasudavicius, but I could see this one being an upset. I'm talking like a 60-40 for this one. My pick is going to be Jasmine Jasudavicius, and I hope she wins. She's been really fun to watch in the UFC so far. Let's take a look. Jasmine's a big favorite. I really do believe Jessica could be a very good, a sneaky underdog opportunity this time around. But I understand the odds, I understand the momentum, I understand the career, the state of the career that Jessica Andrade has right now, so I get that, but Jasmine's going to be my pick. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card, and this is a very interesting fight. We have the return of proper Mike Malott taking on Charles Radtke. This is another tough one. There's some good matchups this time around, guys. You have Mike Malott, who's a well-rounded fighter, he's one of those guys that shines nowhere, but is pretty decent in all aspects of MMA. I would say like a little bit more than decent. Recently, with his loss against Neil Magny, we found out that he needs to work on his cardio and his heart, but he did get a nice win over after that against Trevin Giles, but the problem was he won this fight because Giles fought like Woodley. He literally did nothing in that octagon, and he still kind of had an iffy performance, so I'm still left kind of feeling like not so great about Mike Malott. Charles Radtke, on the other hand, he's 10-4, 34 years old. He is a grappler with dangerous submissions and subpar striking. Sometimes he can be caught doing the old submission over position technique, which could work out for him sometimes it doesn't. Regardless, like the dude wants to come in and the dude wants to go for a finish. After his loss against Carlos Prates, which ended up aging pretty good, he ended up getting an okay win over Matthew Semmelsberger, which we didn't really get to see too much of. He got a KO pretty well right away. This one's another tough fight, because I am so off the Mike Malott train, but I'm not necessarily on the Charles Radtke train. Plus, you got to think about it, they're fighting in Canada. They are trying to make Mike Malott their next big star. I just think that Mike Malott might have a little bit more options. But this is another one where I'm like very, very low confidence in this pick. I can see both guys winning this fight. I'm going to go with Mike Malott. If he can keep it on the feet, he should do a little bit better, but I haven't been really liking his last couple performances over here, guys. I have not. I'm going to ever so slightly lean to Mike Malott. I'm talking like 55-45, 60-40 over here. Not confident in that fight. Again, let's take a look at the odds over here. Mike Malott set at a -219 favorite. Still has all of the hype. I'm just completely off the train when it comes to Mike Malott, but I will pick him for the sake of the video. Let's continue on up the card again, guys, to Marc-Andre Barriault taking on Bruno Silva. There is a lot of red over there, which honestly kind of sucks to see. We'll start with Marc-Andre Barriault. He's a striker with good cardio. He has dirty boxing and kind of does a good job just pressuring and, you know, making fights, like turning them into a calculated, technically ugly brawl. He is one of those guys that can thrive in the calculated chaos where he'll make the fight really dirty and then he will keep some technique within that chaos. So he does a really good job in doing that. Unfortunately, though, 35 years old, coming off of 3 losses in a row. The Dustin Stolfus, they swung. He ended up getting knocked out. Joe Pyfer ended up aging pretty well. And the Chris Curtis was a split decision. I thought this one could have gone either way, to be honest with you. So I'm not looking into those losses and taking too much off of them. But Bruno Silva, on the other hand, he is a decently well-rounded fighter with good power, but Bruno Silva has always been pretty hittable on the other hand. John Anik recently spoke about Bruno Silva not too long ago, and he said that he's been working really, really hard on balancing the offense and defense in his game and not kind of either just going forward or not being caught up doing, going backwards. But who knows how that's going to end up working out. Bruno Silva's coming off of 4 losses. Some really, really good opponents and some, ended up losing to Chris Weidman. That was that was a horrible fight. But, you know what I mean? It's tough because both of these guys have been fed some absolute killers throughout their entire career, and especially recently. Both of them are past their prime. I do believe that Marc-Andre Barriault has a little bit more in the tank than Bruno Silva does, though. I can see him just being more active. Bruno always has the power to turn the lights off, but I don't think he's going to do so against Marc-Andre Barriault. I think Marc-Andre Barriault is going to pressure a little bit more. He's going to land a little bit more, and I believe he's going to win probably a little bit of a slow-paced decision. Marc-Andre Barriault is going to be my pick this time around. Let's take a look at Odds Jam. Marc-Andre Barriault is sitting at a slight favorite over here. I get that. I think that's fair. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying he's going to win that fight. All right, guys, let's continue on up the card because I am excited to see the return of Bekzat Almakhan. This is going to be a fun fight. I like watching Brad Katona fight too. Brad Katona, Bekzat Almakhan. I'm excited for this fight. Brad Katona, he's a very tough kickboxer. He's in the octagon, and he will never give up. He does have an underrated ground game, but he's pretty much just described as, a kickboxer. He's 14-4, and he's he's fought some very underrated competition, in my opinion. Cody Gibson's pretty good. Garrett Armfield's pretty good, and even in his losses, he's looked good in the losses. He also had a good performance against Garrett Armfield. Jesse Butler got a win, and then he had a fantastic fight against Gene Masamuto, and it was one of those fights where both guys had their stock raised. So, Brad Katona, a very underrated fighter, in my opinion. Bekzat Almakhan, on the other hand, came to the UFC and really, really proved that he belonged against Umar Nurmagomedov, which is a loss that aged very, very well. He is a well-rounded fighter who does a good job when he's on the offense, and he also does a fantastic job mixing things up in terms of his shots and his shots placement, what kind of the shots that he is throwing. He also has great KO power, he has good cardio, he has good ground defense, and he never accepts any bad positions. My big takeaway from his UFC debut against Umar Nurmagomedov was that this guy just belongs. He had a great... I hate to say like these fighters like lose great, but Brad Katona kind of does the same thing, right? He was actually like pushing Umar Nurmagomedov off of him, getting to the feet multiple times, defending the submissions, like mostly didn't accept the bottom position. I really, really liked what I've seen from him. And if he's having a close fight against Umar Nurmagomedov, can he beat Brad Katona? My gut says yes, that's the problem. But it's one fight. It's one fight against Umar Nurmagomedov. I want to pick him. I saw that and I was impressed. I believed that he belonged. I'm going to do it. I'm going to pick Bekzat Almakhan to get the win. I'm going to pick him. This one's a little bit more of a gut feeling. Both guys are pretty well-rounded. Brad Katona, definitely more of a kickboxer, but he also has underrated ground game. I'm going to pick Bekzat. I don't know if that's good. I'm interested in the odds for this one, but that's a little bit more of a gut pick, okay? Let's see. And, okay, Bekzat Almakhan's the favorite. I wonder if people are seeing this from where I'm kind of seeing it, just basing it off of his last performance and it being pretty good. I'm interested to see how that one's going to go, guys. I didn't expect him to be the favorite. Now, guys, quick pause before we move on to the main card over here. As you might know, I like to talk about betting on this channel. I am very active in betting. I'm a fight fan who likes to bet. If you are interested in either supporting the channel or seeing exactly what I'm doing with my money each week, every Thursday, Friday, or Saturday morning, depending on whether or not I want to bet on Friday fights, I will be posting a members-only video and a community members post showing exactly what I'm doing. So if you would like to combine your own fight research with my fight knowledge, either that or again just supporting the channel, then check out the channel membership. It is very, very cheap compared to other channels in the pinned comment description down below or right next to the subscribe button. Additionally, OddsGym is a partner of the channel. If you are interested in signing up on OddsGym, you can get a discount by using my link in the pinned comment description down below. Using code Clenbat, if you want to sign up, you can get a discount. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. Let's get into the main card. All right, guys, let's continue on to the main card with one of the best fights on the card, if not the best fight on the card, Benoit Saint-Denis versus Joel Alvarez. Guys, I am not completely off the Benoit Saint-Denis train like so many people are nowadays. So, we're going to get into it. This is a fantastic, fantastic fight. A very important fight for Benoit Saint-Denis' career. He is a well-rounded and dangerous fighter who looks to really hurt his opponents and looks to really make his opponents suffer in there. He's one of those violent guys who has no problem throwing himself in there in order to get the job done and do anything in there. He's great technically in the pocket. He has fantastic body kicks, clinch work, submissions. The guy is a very complete package. He can do it all, and he's really good at making his opponents worry about what shot is coming next because he's very good at mixing the shots up. The only issue, though, is that, like I said, as a positive, he has also shown himself to have no problems throwing himself into a firefight, and he is open to being caught. He's coming off of, which everybody was talking about this guy like he become a champion, and he was looking like a championship caliber fighter on his come up in the UFC, okay, taking on some great fighters as well. He lost to Dustin Poirier, which I believe was the staff, right? He was running out of gas, and he ended up getting caught, but he was beating Dustin Poirier. Then you have the Renato Moicano performance. That was beyond a murder. That was one of the most dominant and violent performances we've seen on the receiving end of Benoit Saint-Denis ever. You have to worry about a fighter changing after a performance like this, after taking the amount of damage that he did in this bout. That's in the back of my head for this. And it doesn't make sense because I thought that he was going to murder Renato Moicano. So I'm left like, okay, is Benoit Saint-Denis really that guy? He's taken 2 tough losses in a row. Plus you got to worry about a guy's chin too. I think his chin's still probably intact, but there's worries about Benoit Saint-Denis at this point in his career. Joel Alvarez, on the other hand, he's 22-3 on a very, very quiet win streak, with his only recent loss being to Arman Tsarukyan, which ended up aging very well. He's a lengthy kickboxer and grappler who definitely prefers and excels at grappling. He has shown that he can be taken down. He's totally okay doing that, and he has great cardio and great heart as well. And the dude has been on an absolute roll, taking on Marc Elvis Brenner, and Drakkar Klose. While the quality of opponents could be better, he's looked incredible in a lot of these fights. So this is a matchup against 2 contenders that are really, really promising and hopefully have promising futures. I worry about Benoit Saint-Denis, man. It comes down to this. If Benoit Saint-Denis still is that killer and still has that killer in him, and the Renato Moicano fight was just some one weird performance, then I believe he should come in and kill Joel Alvarez. Otherwise, Joel Alvarez will probably put a number on Benoit Saint-Denis. So there are variables for this fight. Another tough one, man. I'm going to lean towards Benoit Saint Denis. There's a lot of really close matchups this time around, guys. There's a lot of really close matchups. I believe Benoit Saint Denis is a little bit of a better fighter, but this is a make or break for him. If he loses this in dominant fashion, then he is officially, I don't want to say fraud check because he's beaten some really good guys, but maybe he doesn't belong at the top. I'm going to pick Benoit Saint Denis to get the win, but hesitant in that pick. Let's take a look at the odds over here. Benoit Saint Denis sent at a plus 150 underdog. Joel Alvarez is his favorite. Understandably so, especially with what we've seen from Benoit Saint Denis recently, but he is going to be my pick. Let's continue on up the card, though, guys. Jose Aldo is not done fighting. He is taking on Ayman Zahabi. Jose Aldo, we all know Jose Aldo at this point. He is an incredibly complete fighter. He has everything that you could want in a fighter, and he is a complete athlete as well. He is 100% the package. He has experience, he's calm, he has great leg kicks, great kickboxing, good power. The guy, like I said, he can do it all, man. But unfortunately, Jose Aldo at this point in his career is almost 39 years old. He is well past his prime, but he is not anywhere near done yet. He's just not the same killer that he once was. Ayman Zahabi, on the other hand, he is a fighter out of TriStar who is very improving. He's a slow-paced, well-rounded, very technical fighter. He excels when he stays on the outside and slow things down. He has good cardio, high fight IQ, has an excellent stinging jab, and he has a great high guard for defense. He is aging as well, but he hasn't shown signs of aging yet. The dude has been on a very, very quiet win streak, and he is seemingly improving from fight to fight. He shocked the world against Javid Bashrat and shined against Pedro Munoz. And I know that Pedro Munoz is also past his prime, but I think this dude's still getting better, man. Jose Aldo, of course, he's been a little bit rocky with the record since coming out of retirement, and he unfortunately just had a weird decision loss to Mario Batista. As much as people, hate that fight, he did lose this fight. This is another tough fight to pick, but guys, I'm going to go with Ayman Zahabi. I'm done counting the man out. He's getting better still. He's getting better at his old age. They do a great job game planning, and one of these days, Jose Aldo is going to show up, and we're going to be like, wow, what happened to Jose Aldo? That day's coming. It has not come yet, but I'm picking Ayman Zahabi. I think he's just going to be a little bit quicker, a little bit better. An old Jose Aldo would have killed Ayman Zahabi, but no. At the point in both of their careers, I'm picking Ayman Zahabi to get the job done. I don't know how he's going to get the job done. Probably a little bit of a slow-paced decision, but I'm picking him to win. Another underdog over here. Jose Aldo set at a minus 228 favorite. I think it's a little bit high for Jose Aldo. I think he should be a little bit closer, but I understand him being the favorite. Ayman Zahabi, though, man, I'm done counting the dude out. All right, guys, let's continue on to the featured fight of the card. We have Alexa Grasso versus Natalia Silva. Very weird to see Alexa Grasso not in a title fight recently, okay? Alexa Grasso, 16-4. She is a good volume striker with good movement, does a good job keeping things on the feet. She does have a pretty slick BJJ game and could be good when the fight gets dirty here and there as well. The only problem is Alexa Grasso, and I think that I think when it's time, like, the problem is she can scrap, okay? But when it's time to, like, okay, you need to win this, you need to, like, have a life or death situation over here, Alexa Grasso can't really pull that trigger, okay? She's coming off of just fights against Valentina Shevchenko, where, none of them really stood out, to be honest with you, but except for this last one where she got bullied for 5 straight rounds, couldn't defend a takedown, couldn't do anything, so she's not coming off of the best performance. She's taking on Natalia Silva, though, who is seemingly living up to all of the hype so far. She is a very well-rounded and skilled fighter for the division. Great taekwondo. She is high pressure, does a good job technical-wise when striking with good power alongside it, and has takedowns in her arsenal as well. She's constantly moving. She's incredibly patient, great cardio, has a chin. She has all of the heart in the world that's needed to win, and we've recently seen that from her. And she has the sneaky kicks that can kind of come out of nowhere in a fight, even in at close range. Her distance, management, and movement in general are also very good for the division. The only issue is that sometimes with Natalia Silva, she can take a couple minutes to get going, but that is even only sometimes. She's had a perfect run so far, man. She's been looking really, really good, but also Jessica Andrade is the only opponent that she has really fought where I go, okay, you know what, that's like a really solid win. But in the Jessica Andrade fight, I believe we had a lot of questions answered about her. It was a war, and she got the better of that war, to be honest with you. She can go through a dogfight, and I was wondering this type of stuff, right? Especially when somebody like surging up the contender. She can go through a dogfight. She ate some really, really big shots. She didn't slow it all down at all, and she beat an Andrade that was consistently looking for the kill for 3 rounds. I am just about convinced that she's one of the best fighters in the division, and I know that I said so much more about her than I just spoke about Alexa Grasso, but man, I'm high on one girl and not on the other. I'm going to pick Natalia Silva. I think she's more well-rounded, and I think she's better, and with the disappointing performance that Alexa Grasso just came off of, how can I not pick Natalia Silva? She's going to have all of the options there. She's going to have all of the heart. She's going to have the will to win. I think she'll beat Alexa Grasso over 3 rounds. Plus, she's just entering her prime. Natalia Silva is going to be my pick. Let's take a look what the odds are over here. Natalia Silva sitting at a minus 192 favorite. Understandably so. She was looking like the whole package, and so far she's proven that she is the whole package. So maybe she'll end up being a title holder one day. Before we get into the 2 title fights, though, guys, let me stop you just one more time. As you might know, I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. I upload daily on multiple channels, so if you're interested, check out the link tree at the top of the description or the direct links to all of my channels a little bit deeper in the description down below. If you're interested in anything like gaming content, variety content, any of that, well, I want to have my toes dipped into every niche of YouTube, so check it out if you're interested in my content personally. Thank you for listening. Let's get into the co-main event. Now, guys, let's continue on over to the co-main event. We have Valentina Bullet Shevchenko defending her title back as the champion against Manon Fiorot. This is another tough fight, man. Valentina Shevchenko, she's a 17-time K1 and Muay Thai champion. She is a very, very complete fighter who excels at kickboxing and Muay Thai. But she literally has everything in her arsenal. She's super dangerous when she's at range and dictating the pace. But unfortunately, Valentina Shevchenko is past her prime now. She is no longer the danger like we were just talking with Jose Aldo. She is no longer the danger that she once was. She is also coming off of a very subpar performance against Alexa Grasso. Just a bunch of Alexa Grasso fights. None of them were really that great, but she fought the perfect, safe fight. She took Grasso down, she landed small shots, and literally just went for control. There is a clear difference in the Valentina Shevchenko of today and the Valentina Shevchenko of old. She's taking on Manon Fiorot. She is a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a striker who would, honestly, not a ton to break down. She does a good job with just the basics. She's excellent at staying in range. She's circling, constantly pumping out a solid 1, a solid 1-2, and she does a really good job doing so. She's coming off of, and she's been on an incredible win streak, don't get me wrong, but she's coming off of 2 really nice wins. Rose Namajunas and Erin Blanchfield. Stopped the hype train of Erin Blanchfield completely, had an excellent performance, and just beat Rose Namajunas in a striking match. I think that says something, man. And I think she's going to win. I know she's 35 years old, but she's taking on a past her prime Valentina Shevchenko as well. I've been impressed by her past performances, but that's going to come down to, can Valentina Shevchenko get the takedowns? I could see her getting another fight where she just had like the Alexa Grasso one. Takedown, control, teeny bitty shots. If Manon Fiorot can defend even half of those, she's going to win the fight. If this was the Valentina Shevchenko of old, I think that she would beat Manon Fiorot in a striking match, but this isn't the Valentina Shevchenko of old. I'm picking Manon Fiorot. I think we are going to have a new champion. I believe she's going to get the job done, and I feel pretty confident in saying so. A little bit more of a gut feeling in this one, but yeah, she's beaten 2 pretty good fighters so far. I'm picking Manon Fiorot. I'm picking to get a new champion over here. Manon Fiorot sitting at a minus 124 favorite. This one is relatively close, and understandably so, but I am going to be picking Manon to get the job done. All right, guys, let's continue on over to the main event, the return of Belal Muhammad versus Jack Della Maddalena. Belal Muhammad, not a ton to break down with Belal Muhammad. He is a strong, slow-paced wrestler with little power and subpar hands, but his wrestling game is very, very good. The dude, his control is on another level. He's taking on Jack Della Maddalena, who's a well-rounded fighter, but primarily a boxer who has a really solid jab and improving takedown defense. If he does hit the ground, he's decent at getting back up to his feet, and he does offer offense off of his back. But you pretty well have a striker versus grappler over here. Guys, here's the thing, okay? Belal Muhammad, 36 years old, and you have to take into consideration that Belal Muhammad has been off, and I believe it was a toe injury, maybe a foot injury. He's been off. I don't know if he had surgery. I don't think he did. Excuse me if I'm misremembering that, but regardless, he's been off for a little bit, so keep that into consideration if you're a betting man. But here's the way that I'm looking at it, okay? You have Jack Della Maddalena, who he's had really great performances, don't get me wrong. He's a very violent fighter, and he is absolutely a top contender, okay? He hasn't shown the ground defense like that's to the level enough where I think, okay, he can defend against Belal Muhammad. But he's looked great so far. He's looked really, really great against really good opponents too. You know? I didn't like how much Gilbert Burns was taking him down, to be honest with you. But then again, he had the opportunity to show that his ground game was improved. But the problem is that enough? I don't think so. And the other thing with Belal Muhammad, guys, is I have picked against him against Stephen Thompson. I've picked against him against Vicente Luque. I've picked against him against Sean Brady. Sorry, I don't remember about this one, but I think I picked against him against Sean Brady. I picked Gilbert Burns to beat him. I picked Leon Edwards to beat him. I'm done counting out Belal Muhammad because I look at him and I go, okay, he's just a wrestler. If they can stop the wrestler, he's open to be hit on the feet. But no, he's not. The dude is probably jacked. He's probably roided up. He's been overwhelming people, and he's looking fantastic. I'm not picking against him anymore. I've underrated this guy at every turn. I'm picking Belal Muhammad. He's going to get the takedowns. He's going to slam Jack Della Maddalena, and he's going to do the typical Belal Muhammad game plan and get the job done. That's what I believe. I don't care how good of a boxer Jack Della Maddalena is. I'm done counting Belal Muhammad out. My pick is going to be Belal Muhammad to win the fight and retain the welterweight title. Belal Muhammad sitting at a minus 251 favorite. I see why. I feel like people are also convinced of Belal Muhammad at this point in his career, man. I'm picking Belal Muhammad. I'm picking him to get the job done. I apologize for the lack of perhaps enthusiasm in this video. Like I said, I've been like deep breathing. My allergies are killing me, and I even took some allergy pills, man. But hopefully the video was still enjoyable for you to watch. Let me know what you thought about the entire card down below. Thank you very much for being here and watching. I have a video that's recently been popping up if you're interested, where we looked at the internet's hilarious reaction to Anthony Smith's retirement. We had some pretty good posts in there. I'd love to have you over there. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.